So guys, today we have a wonderful panel and we will talk about this discoveries which made by Wave.video and Socialinsider. Here I am, Kate Skavish, co-founder of Wave.video, and Teo Lozan is head of marketing on Socialinsider. We have two experts on our panel. Teo Zimmerman, I know Teo for many years, and she is wonderful speaker and educator. She talked on big conferences like Social Media Marketing World and Lollapalooza, and teach huge audiences on how to make business on Instagram. She helped many Instagram accounts with monetizing their Instagram, which is very important, like for real estate experts and for other areas. And she has, I watched how she stormed Instagram and grew her account very rapidly. So it's amazing to have her on this panel, and I think we'll benefit from learning from her. And Dorien Van Dam, and it's different Van Dam because
it's not the Belgian Van Dam.
Yes, it's a Dutch last name. Yeah, and she's on social media on over a decade. She also is speaker and keynote speaker. We also met in Social Media Marketing World a few years ago, and you can recognize her by her orange glasses and sometimes shoes, orange as well, right? So we will share our view on what this research on social media and in particular on stories in Instagram revealed. So I would like to start with a question for you and for everybody else. Which results have impressed you the most?
You're asking me.
Yeah, I'm asking you.
That is such a broad question. So when you say results, what are you specifically? I looked at the survey. What are you specifically referring to? The results about the stories, about the retention? Which results do you want me to focus on?
Probably both stories and retention. So
yeah. So I would like to just preface this as hi, everyone. As someone who has been teaching Instagram marketing for over 8 years, and Instagram is constantly adding new features to Instagram. I always say that Instagram is now a village, and there are now 5 neighborhoods where people are hanging out, stories being one of the most prominent ones, and IGTV and Reels being the ones that Instagram is favoring now more than the other. I think the reoccurring theme in all of the neighborhoods of Instagram and Instagram as a whole is that real, authentic content is what people want more than anything. They want to connect with you, hear you, see you, and believe in you, believe you and trust you. And the only way for that to happen is by getting on video. Period, underscore, exclamation mark. You can be great at graphics, you can be great at text, and you can, use all of the memes and the boomerang features. But if you aren't putting your face behind your brand, behind your product, behind your service with confidence and conviction, then people are just not going to follow you and come back and engage, because that's where the magic happens and has happened in my business and continues to happen.
Absolutely. I can say it again, everything. Dorien, what impressed you the most in the research?
Okay, so I just want to tell everybody that's watching that Socialinsider and Wave.video researched over 500,000 Instagram stories and ads. So that in itself, I think, is amazing, that the volume of research that they did, the volume of stories and ads that they looked at. So that was one part of what impressed me. The other part was that this sweet spot seems to be 5 stories a day. That just blew my mind. I've worked with 50, 60, 70 different industries in the last 10 years. And of course, Instagram has not been around that long. But, you know, there's a lot of brands, smaller businesses, local businesses that are still resistant to Instagram and stories. And then so when we do them, it might be 7 or 8. It's like pulling teeth. It's like, come on, give me something. So to hear, you know, to do 5 a day, we all need to turn to Sue and say, how do we do this, right? And so we're going to learn some more of that. But to me, that was what jumped out at me, the volume that you guys researched and that you put in this case study, and then to find out that 5 seems to be a good number. That just blew my mind.
But before you pass it, can I just say something? Because I think this is really important for everyone tuning in. In my opinion, from my experience, the most important metric is retention and not the number of stories, because you can do a phenomenal story in just 2 clips and get the results that you want. The most important aspect of this conversation, in my opinion, is, are people taking the action that you want them to take when you create a story? And can you do it in a clear, concise message that's going to really make them feel like they followed that story, the beginning, middle, and end? And so whether it's 3, whether it's 5, for me, sometimes it's 15, and I bring people along. I think, you know, and I love that there were so many, you researched so many stories to get these numbers. But I think as a business owner, as a brand, it is our responsibility to always make it clear and concise. What action do you want people to take? Do you want them to join this video? Yes, we did. And there were not enough stories to bring people into this format here on Facebook from Wave.video with that story. And I'm being honest. I mean, they shared a couple of clips, but there really should have been a person behind the message of what this is. And so if you want people to be here to take action, and we will have a lot of people on the replay, it is your job as the content creator to really set yourself up for success. Give it context at the beginning of the story, and give it context, meaning your voice, at the end, so people do the thing you want them to do. And that's, I think, the biggest message that business owners and brands need to really hit home with when doing a story, and not just doing it to do an Instagram story because 5's a magic number. But if it's all fluff, I don't care about your story, right? So I think that those are important things. You know, Katie, you know, you run a very successful business, and you're not on Instagram doing stories because that's not your job. And so I think it's important to always play to your strength and do your job within your company. But if it's your job to be front-facing brand ambassador, it is your job to get on video and put that message out so that people subscribe to your YouTube channel, opt into your list. You know, sign up for your webinar, sign up for your training, or in this case, join this Facebook Live. And with that said, everybody that's here, tag someone, bring your friends in, share this so that we get more people a part of this conversation.
Mm-hmm. And we have this lovely comments. You rocks it perfectly. Absolutely agree. Mm-hmm. And yeah, some other questions which we will come back slightly later. I also was absolutely surprised in a good way with this 4 stories a day that big brands share, and the retention they maintain over 70% if it's more than 5 stories a day. And I guess, yeah.
Can I jump in?
I will take this question. Yeah.
Just wanted to reiterate a little bit on what Sue was telling. We always say that these studies are a guideline. This is what works for most brands. But of course, all audiences differ. So the best advice is just to go out there, try it. Maybe start from posting 5 stories a day and see how it works for you, and see how people react to this situation.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And our audience absolutely reacts to it. The number 5 stories per day, there is a storm of comments on it. what kind of stories and 5 a day? What's views on those stories? Again, engagement 70%. That's what we found out. And I want to go again and ask our experts on what I personally was surprised, what our audience also been surprised and asking questions about. What type of content makes people watch so many stories? Do you have examples of brands that engage people so much? So maybe,
Food brand.
You as a
so I think it's the strategy that I live by and works well for my audience and those that I teach and educate and coach is that your story can promote, amplify, and broadcast your content that you share in your feed. And that is the starting point. So if you are crafting the best content, which should be your number one goal in your feed, your stories should bring the attention back down to your feed because that content is evergreen and you'll get more engagement. The algorithm will work in your favor. You'll have conversations. People may save it, share it, and all of that affects the algorithm. So your stories shouldn't be random. They should really align with your content strategy. And so every day my story is set up to get more eyeballs on my content, to build that trust, to build that authority, to build my community, and ultimately grow my business because it does convert to sales. And that's why you're all here. Like, why do stories? We're not doing it for kicks and giggles. We're doing it to grow our authority, to grow our business, to grow our brand. And so those stories need to align. Now, with that said, in between a story where I am legitimately working off a Trello board from content that we've created and planned, there are spontaneous things that happen in life and throughout the day. For example, I voted today and I wanted people to know that I voted today because that's important to me as a core value and to my audience. And so it's important to infuse your personality and your core values and behind the scenes and all kinds of elements that help build that trust to your brand. So I'm not just saying to talk about the content in your feed, but you have to be intentional. It can't be random. It has to essentially take people with you on a journey. And I have so many brands that I follow, but the one that I think all the chicks in the house are going to love, and power to the people here, is Sarah Blakely, the founder of Spanx. Now, Sarah Blakely does Instagram stories all day long on her personal account. And she, as the owner and the wealthiest female in the US, the youngest, wealthiest female billionaire, and I just am obsessed with her and how she does stories. It's because she's funny, she's smart. I feel more connected to her brand. And every time I order, I spend at least $500. So there's that. And so she is doing her brand justice, and her brand in turn is infusing some of Sarah's personality. So if you are a brand and not an individual, it's really important to bring the energy of the founder of that brand into your content strategy so that these stories have more meaning. It's basically a TV channel that you can turn on and off every day. And are you taking people to a place where they want to turn it on every day? Do they want to watch your next clip? Are they excited to connect deeper with you? Because here's the truth. My business has exploded since this pandemic, but more so since Instagram stories. And so I share that with you because we're going back to video. We're here for Wave, right? So I share that with you because, you know, some days I'm funny, some days I'm all glammed up, some days I'm a sweaty hot mess, some days I'm dropping the F-bomb, and some days I'm taking you with me when I'm travel. So you get to intimately connect with me, and that wouldn't have happened if it wasn't for Instagram stories. Mm-hmm. And so I really want to give this whole live more context about stories for that reason. And I love what the other panelists are saying. But because I'm in this app every friggin' day, every day, and have been for 8 years, I have so much experience around building a business, building a brand, building a community, building authority. And if anyone is struggling, let us know what your questions are, because a lot of people overthink it and you don't have to.
Okay, guys, please post your questions, and we will go for Dorien. Dorien, what do you tell? What your favorite brands? What keeps you watching stories? What's your intake on it?
Okay, so for stories, there are of course some brands, some larger brands that might not have a CEO or owner that wants to get involved. So one of the things that's been successful for some of my clients is resharing tagged content. So it's user-generated content that has come in on a daily basis. We work on getting people to tag our content when we send out product. And so we get this lifestyle, we get lifestyle pictures. And that works really well for a product company that sells online or sells in person. And so we get, especially during this pandemic, when we're having trouble getting photo shoots, right? Because people can't get together. And so for this one brand that I work with, it's been really great getting tagged content from people that are ordering products. And so they put their dogs in the pictures and their kids and pumpkins. And so these pictures that we can't take because we can't go out on a photo shoot, we can reshare in stories. And it's been very successful. And on top of that, we're also working more closely with influencers since we were already doing that, but giving them more directives and giving them a little more leeway in asking them not just to share our products, but also their lifestyle with their kids, with their pets, going out, being out in nature and getting more pictures from them, what's happening, like real life, right? Sharing what's happening. So those two things have really helped stories rise to the surface for this one product brand that I'm working with.
So what I hear from both of you so far, it's a personal touch and real life connection, that one of the elements which help. Teo, what do you have to say about what your favorite brands are and what keep you watching the stories?
For me, the perspective is more analytical, so to speak. So what we've seen looking at data over and over and over again, video drives conversions. And it's not just stories, it's organic posts as well. But what we also found out, and it's a sort of an interesting correlation, is that when it comes to organic content, carousels are the ones that perform the best. And if you think of a 5-story day, you can sort of associate it with a carousel. So then the insight comes out that if you use videos mostly, but also include an image or two, you might drive engagement even higher. And I've seen brands do it. I've seen, for example, Anastasia Beverly Hills, which is a huge brand, a huge makeup brand. And they tend to do this a lot in their stories, just add both images and videos of their products and not only.
Thank you. And for me, my intake is more like a viewer, because I want to see all the trends on social and help to support them with our software. So my intake on stories, first of all, I've noticed that for me personal and for other people, as research revealed, ads in a stories work better. So, which means what our expert just mentioned, personal touch and funny and smart and spontaneous things combined with ads sell better. And I think we all agree that personal touch brings more trust, and that's why those ads more trusted. That's how my interpretation of what I've noticed in the research and what was confirmed by experts. That's important. And again, if I think about brands that I watch again, and I'm not talking about personal brands right now because it's already been said, but bigger brands, what I want to watch is like little recipes if it comes to websites which sell cooking stuff, or my favorite one, Minimalist Baker, because it's short stories and you can actually gain some interesting insights.
I love them. They're awesome. Yeah, they have great content.
We have fans here. And CrossFit, because that kind of influence me and makes me want to exercise. So everything that inspires me works well for stories, and depends on time of the day. If I want to watch something at the end of the day, that definitely shouldn't be CrossFit. That's something else, or it inspires me for the next day. So inspirational, funny, smart, connecting, personal touch, spontaneous. That's the characteristics of stories that keep us watching them, right? Okay, with that, I think we can go to the next question. The next question would be, numbers also show that video outperform static images and ads, and I think we all said about it, that's what makes the connection happen. What be your top recommendations on how to create effective video ads? So now we switching to ads. Sue,
we do a lot of ads. Hold on one second. I'm sharing in the group. We do so many ads. We have an ad budget of close to $1,000 a day. So we spend a lot of money on ads, and we use video in all of our ads in obviously Instagram stories. And we love using Wave Video. I'm sharing a link to one of our highlights for our Ready, Set, Gram course where we use Wave Video. And I shared that with you. And it's been wildly successful because here's the thing. When you use Wave Video, what I love is that it's consecutive. You don't feel the pause in a story. And so people don't necessarily need to tap to go forward. It just automatically plays that loop. I'm going to call it a loop instead of a clip. And so we have found that 15-second videos up to 45 seconds convert extremely well. And the best ones have really been the organic ones that really feel like it's not an ad, like you said. It feels like me just talking to you as I do every day in Instagram stories. So I want to say this to everyone. If you haven't done ads in Instagram stories, don't start there. Start by doing stories, because the most successful ads and stories are video, front facing, for us anyway, and connecting to us, specifically me, the brand, the face behind the brand. But you want to really be casual in your ad. You don't want people to feel like they're being sold to. No one likes to be sold to. And so you want to bring them with you, and you want them to feel like they need the offer that you have based on a pain point that they have. And if you've done your ads correctly, you're targeting the right people, which we do every day. So I think that those are important points to say. And my graphic designer is the one creating the ads in Wave Video because she's a boss at it, and the quality of our ads are phenomenal. And if you want to share them, I give you permission to. I know I've shared them with you.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. That's actually, again, I can say every word again, and that absolutely go with line with our research that what we revealed. And Dorien, do you have anything else to say?
Well, it's funny because I'm listening to Sue and I'm like, can I write all this down? I'm going to watch the replay. I am the organic specialist. You're the Instagram expert. So I really focus on quality of content and ideas, right? So if I have any advice for ads and video ads, I would be to test, right? To test the different size clips. And I love that you said 15 to 45 seconds. So that's a great place to start. What Teo said earlier, this is a baseline. Don't take this as the gospel, right? We're going to test what works for each brand that we work with. So what you just said is great. So start with that front facing. I heard you say camera, pick up the phone, record something, and then just test and see what works, because analytics are pretty good, right? Data doesn't lie. So go look what data says in your stories, what people are clicking on, what converts, what they like. So I'm just going to leave it at that. I am the organic specialist, not the ad specialist, but I'm going to hand it over to Teo because I'm sure she's got some great insights there.
Actually, I would just recommend to have the goal in mind, because from what we've seen, most brands that usually go for story ads, they just want link clicks. But I would just give the same advice. Don't oversell. It's a story after all. It's social content. It's not a TV commercial. So keep it as personal and as human as possible.
Absolutely. I cannot be agree more. And I think that what makes ads in stories sell better, because they feel more natural, more organic, if you will, right? And that's why people buy more from those stories, because they don't sell that much. They're not that bold in selling. They just trying to suggest something for you that might work, right? And that feels more organic, and that makes people buy easily from those stories, right? Okay, and here we go to our last question of the day today, and then we will take a couple of questions from our audience. Our study shows that bigger accounts post significantly more stories. Would you recommend smaller profiles to simply start producing more content to grow, or from your experience, there is something more besides the number of stories that small businesses should know about to reach the desirable 10K? So, Sue, what would you recommend?
Yeah, so I'm assuming most people tuning in don't have a huge team. So having the bandwidth to be on your phone all day, creating stories all day, can suck the life out of you and not keep you focused on the money producing tasks that you need to be doing in your business. With that said, I do stories pretty much every day. I take the weekends off. On Sunday, I announce our YouTube video and get people to tap in and save, join me live in the countdown sticker. And that has worked really well. But I have stories that sometimes have 15 to 20 clips. It really depends on the message and the content and how long it takes you to get that message out. It's not you've got to look at your data and see what's performing. Absolutely. And we study our data, and we know that at the end of the day, it's like how many people tapped all the way through that story, and did they take action? Like that is the metric for us. And so these bigger brands are taking you with them every day because they have user-generated content that they want to share in their story, which does work well, but you can't just share user-generated content like that. Like there's nothing in it for the viewer other than seeing that you have other people that like your business and brand, and it adds credibility. There has to still be context around when you share someone else sharing your story in your story. And a lot of my clients, like I'll tag them in a story and they'll stop what they're doing and they'll share it in their story, and it's in the middle of their story and it makes no sense. And so I always say, save it, take a screenshot, share it when it makes sense, to put that piece of proof or that happy customer into your story. But just looking at people's kids and dogs and user-generated content, that is not the storyline. The storyline has to be greater than that. So I really want people to, again, just hit home with the storyline is everything and the data doesn't lie.
Absolutely. Being intentional and doing your business while you're doing stories, not just random things. That's very important, I think. And I guess big brands are more intentional because they have team, to support. Absolutely agree. Dorien, what do you say?
Well, I mean, for me, it all comes back to strategy, right? So if you're a smaller brand and you're not at 10K, say you're at 2K or you're at 1,500 followers, but you have an incredible bond with them, do what you can. If you don't have the resources, if you don't have all day, you don't have a team like Sue, and you want to talk to people, then find, one time a day that you can create some stories, set a timer, maybe do it over breakfast or maybe do it at lunch. Take your people with you when you go on an afternoon hike. Find something that you can do to bring them with you, to bring them into your world. But other than that, maybe your community isn't on Instagram. Oh, what? Get that strategy down. Maybe those stories that you're creating, maybe you should be creating them for Facebook or LinkedIn, depending on where your audience is. But if we're talking about Instagram, set a timer. You know, I set a timer for everything. I'm getting to that age. If I don't set timers, I forget to eat. So, you know, set a timer for saying, hey, I'm going to create some content, or pick a time of day that you're most productive and do that. Because there's no excuse not to make any if the data shows that is what converts. So I think that's what you need to look at. Are they converting? And then, you know, what kind of content do they want? And then set the time to do that. But yeah, I mean, if you don't have the resources and it takes away from you building your business, and hasn't converted anything to you, you know, make sure that you understand that data, what it's going to do.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, I agree. First, you need to understand why you're doing it, build your strategy, build your habits, and then you need to prioritize what is important at this moment in your life. Stories, and this type of content, or some other stuff for your business has higher priority.
Right. And if you decide to do it and to go all in, then actually make sure that every couple of weeks or once a week or once a month, go back and look at the statistics. And if it's working, do more of what's working, because you might have not given enough, right? So if it starts working, do more. So really look at that data.
Mm-hmm. And again, if Instagram something that drive traffic to your business, drive sales, you should do more of it. If not, you probably should wait and check your numbers again later on. And Teo, what do you add to all of it?
I think it's really interesting because smaller brands usually have a higher reach, because most of their audience is already interested in what they have to say. So their stories reach more of their audience. However, they have more drop-offs than larger brands. And I think that's partly because, of course, you have to take into account the production efforts and the team and how capable they are to actually produce this much content. But they also have to keep in mind the fact that people are not interested in overly produced content. So they can just pick a person from their team and have a very quick video and just play around, do something creative and interesting, and on the spot. They don't have to invest that much time into it.
Mm-hmm. And another thing, maybe smaller brands, they keep experimenting. They finding what works for them, what brings sales in, and so on, right? What builds the audience. And bigger brands are already figured it out, so they just go with something that already proven to work. So it also creates a big difference on how much content they produce, right? Okay, so
I want to share something with everyone that I think will make them very happy, especially if they've gone through all the work creating a story. I want you all to know that if your story is crushing it, you can save the whole story by tapping the download arrow at the end of your story, and you can repurpose it in a Facebook group, on your Facebook page, in an email. You can send it to someone. So if you're going to take the time to create compelling, awesome content in your stories, which does take quite a bit of time to do well, then just think about how you can repurpose that story specifically. You can also download each clip and repurpose those, which I frequently do. But I want everyone to know that you can repurpose the whole story. So don't feel overwhelmed like, oh my gosh, this is so much time. I just don't have time to do it all. Think how to work smarter and not harder. That's my message.
Absolutely. And repurposing is a key. You cannot keep creating content all the time. You have to take most out of it, right? And repurposing is one of the way of getting more value. And I know there are awesome updates on Instagram recently, right? So can you say a little bit about those?
Okay. So you're talking to the queen of selfies over here. Like taking selfies. I'm just not shy about it. So this week, Instagram added selfie stickers in the DM, which are amazing. And there's 6 emojis that you can turn yourself into a selfie sticker. You can use those selfie stickers in the DM, which also had a complete overhaul with new features, which I will not get into because we need another half an hour for that. But for all of you on this live, a little fun thing that you should do today is create some fun selfie stickers and put a little personality into it. You can use it in your Instagram stories. And if you tap through mine, you'll see the one I put on my voting story today. And you can use it in the DM to express yourself and connect with other people. So if you're not feeling camera ready, you can always use your selfie sticker.
Selfie sticker.
Great tip. I gotta go check that out. That's fun.
Okay, I think with that, we answered all these questions that we had in our feed and all the questions that we prepared. And I really want to thank everyone on a panel who is here today. Thank you, Teo. Thank you, Stu, for your energy. Thank you, Dorien, for your intake on everything. And I guess see you again sometime soon.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.